select board, I'll, I'll call the select board to order at 5:30 PM on the February 23rd,
And I'll call the
2026.
finance committee meeting to order at the same time on the same day. All right. So why don't you go ahead, welcome, and we look forward to hearing your. Oh, and here's Holly, who is our town accountant.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Rick Martin. I'm the superintendent of Franklin County Tech School. I have with me our newly appointed business manager, her first year doing the business manager, taking over for Russ Cobras, who was a business manager for 28 years. So we welcome Liz to the fold. And she'll be able to be much better than me at answering any of the numbers as it relates to any of the bond issues or anything like that. So without further ado, I'd like to start with the MSBA and give you an idea where we are at in the process. If I could just share my screen real quick. If you can see that, I'm going to scroll, get to the rate to where we are from the numbers perspective. I know I recognize some of the faces that have seen some of these presentations before. I won't be as elaborate as I was previously. I'm just going to let you know that these are the things that we have held off beginning about 8 years ago. And each year we're holding off, like for example, the electrical mechanical system. We have a bunch of switchgear made by Federal Pacific that's malfunctioning. When the lights flicker, we hope they come back on. Well, that hasn't. And then to rebuild one costs about $100,000 to $150,000 to rebuild one of the 18 electrical switchgear switches. And so fortunately, we had one built 2 years ago, put it on standby, and 2 days later, the electricity flickered and didn't come back on. And we just plugged that back in with a company, and within 24 hours, we were up and running again. So we had another one built, and then 2 months after that, it didn't come back on. And so we have another one built. So we keep these other ones because they're very expensive. They're like $150,000 a pop. And if we don't buy it, we're out of school for 2 months. So that's too big of a risk. And then when you do a big system, then we had some cost estimators come in, and they said to do the entire electrical mechanical system throughout the facility to upgrade it to where where it can be or should be, it would be about 32 million. And when you do a major project like that, you'll have to you're grandfathered out of the sprinkler system, which would be another 8 million. And then we have the other things that we moved whole subsets of the building out and around for up to 3 or 4 days at a time with the underground water and sewage system that has had occasional leaks in the last several years, especially that we had one about 10 years ago that was bad. It took us more than a week, and we reallocated a whole section of kids. When I say a whole section, probably about 10 classrooms. And then we were good for about 6, 7 years, and 2 years ago it hit other sections of the building. So to replace all that would be about 10 million. We are on the last life of our roof. That will be done over, that's about 17 million. So just to do what we need to do is about 75 million, and that can be only done through bonding. And that can only be done through short-term bonding because no bank's going to lend you a 30-year bond and pump that kind of money into an old building. So those would be 15-year bonds, depending on what happens. So when the MSBA came in, they took a look. Our first thought was to make sure we could just let's just get the building up to code. We initially weren't in favor of a new facility, but we needed the building at least operational. That would be $103 million, and that's the bottom part of that screen to get everything up. Because once you do a few of these, then you're kind of subject to the whole thing coming up to code, and that's going to be $103 million without a dollar coming from the MSBA, and you still have an old building. So that's when the MSBA put us to the top of the list. When they came out and visited us, they said, beautiful outside of the building. It looks fantastic. You guys do a great job with the facilities. However, your internal structure is, going to come really close to being a non-occupancy type of situation. So we'll put you to the top of the list. So the difference in what we're looking at from one avenue would be if we did the up to code, the 103 million. And the other avenue would be if we went with a new facility, the MSBA would give us 120 million out of an approximate $238 million project. So that would be a 30-year bond on approximately, call it, I don't know, about what, $125 million. And that would be a 30-year bond or a 15-year bond for 103 million. So unfortunately for Franklin County Tech, there's no zero cost option. And when we look at, well, this is just for, I'm not gonna, I know you guys know what the MSBA is. Do you mind if I skip over the screen? You guys okay with that? Just give you a time frame. What we're looking at, we're currently in the schematic design. We went through the feasibility study, which we knew 8-10 years back that we might be going through this. So we saved. So we actually paid for the feasibility study without going out to the town for bonding. We didn't want to go out to the towns twice. So we were able to pay for that. And then we went into the eligibility phase, then the design phase, and now we're at the schematic design phase, which that's when we get our final cost. So we're presenting this information during this phase process. It's only a few months old. So these costs are still changing, but we at least can narrow down a quick focus. What we're looking at is I'm not going to show you the location and all that stuff. I'm just going to get to the meat and potatoes. These were update our existing building. That was one of our options. The renovation of the campus was another option, or new construction was the third option. And those are just three. So the renovation we were really interested in. And then we found out that was more expensive than a new building. We couldn't believe it. And many of the options that come with it are not MSBA reimbursable, which why it would be more expensive to the towns. So we went through a decision-making matrix. We started to look at the different layouts and facilities, and we kind of landed on this bottom right-hand corner one called option 8. And the reason for that, if you look at the back of the building, that's where a majority of all your vocational shops are going to be. In the back of that, and then the front of it will be the academics and the offices and all of that stuff. The reason for that is right now, I know Trevor's familiar. I think you graduated from Franklin County Tech. So when you walk down the hallways, you are directly across from the collision repair if you're in math class. So you're smelling those fumes while you're in math class. This design kind of prevents all that. We'll have a firewall right through that bridge. You're not going to be smelling the shops, and they can do the academics as well. The other part of what we decided to do, this is our decision-making matrix. We met with engineers, architects, OPM, school committee, teachers, parents, students, and we all independently, we all were in different groups. It was probably about 50 people in the room, and everyone landed on option 8 as going through what we were presenting at the time. So now we're looking at these structures we'll send out to you because, again, we're still much in the process of what everything will look like. This is what I was saying before. All your vocational shops are in the back and the main offices are in front. With the exception, the other blue areas you see is we have an operational restaurant, which we have a lot of the elderly use it on a regular basis. Unfortunately, if they come in the middle of hallway passing time, we had some close calls. So having it on the exterior of the building will keep everyone pretty safe in that. And the same with the hairdresser and the culinary arts and the salon. So when we look at that, that's just a quick vision. What they did from an architect standpoint is try to utilize what we have in Franklin County. So they had the outside kind of look like the mills in the area, and the corners kind of look like the industrial park, and the thing in the middle to try to look like a bridge between the two. What we don't see here is Assembly Hall. We don't see the extra spaces that are involved because that's real expensive. That's not reimbursable. So we try to take out as much of the non-reimbursables as possible. And we actually build in the building for 600 students per MSBA specs, which is currently 50 students smaller than we currently have. And people think we're crazy doing that, but if you calculate the costs to go from 600, and the MSBA wanted us to build a 700 facility. Well, why should we do that when the rest of the schools are struggling with their enrollment? Not to mention, you go from 600 to 700 per square foot per student. You're almost 80 to $100 million more on top of what I just showed you. That was unacceptable to us. So we'll live with a smaller building. We just want something that's going to function. We felt strongly that Franklin County Tech, with its plumbers, electricians, and workers over the course of the last 50 years, have served the community well. And we're just looking for something to serve the community well for the next 50 years. And as a validation of that, Franklin County Tech was ranked #1 in the state by doing just that. Kids are coming to us and getting into the world of work at a higher rate than every other vocational technical school in the state by far. So we continually hold on to that. That's our mission. We're not trying to be, we believe our member schools, especially Frontier, do a tremendous job preparing their students for college. That's just not who we are. So we want kids to stay at Frontier that have that as their top goal and their top mission, but we want kids who want to work with their hands to contribute back to the community to come to Franklin County Tech. It's that kind of revolving door. The other thing is, we all know that the price of the buildings went up through the roof, especially since COVID. This is just an example of Greenfield that had a $66 million building back in 2013 at $315 per square foot. And the prices have escalated. All the other dots you see of all the other MSBA projects. So they fell a little bit above the average, and we are significantly, if this line continues, below the average, what's being built now. That doesn't matter. You see how expensive it is. It's $890 to $915 per square foot. And now we look at the cost. So when we look at the percentage of the towns, Deerfield would have a 7.99% of the total project after the MSBA pays the first 125 million or so back to the towns, or pays for that part up front. And then that would be under a 30-year bond. Again, any bond type of questions have to go to Liz because she'll be the expert. So that was just my quick overview of the MSBA. There's, of course, some other things that may pop up, but we are still fluctuating with our prices, still trying to figure out the bond ratings, and still going through the process. So that's where we are at. Any questions?
What are you going to do with this is Trevor, you said the assembly hall and stuff is not in the project. What are you planning to do with it?
So we are going to, great question. We're going to do what we're doing now, except we'll have it a little bit more technologically advanced. We're going to utilize the gymnasium as our assembly hall. And not make the towns pay for a separate space where we can fit all our students in there. Of course, we'll have a little more technology. We'll have the speakers, the projectors, the soundproofing. And if we're going to do any of our evenings that involve a lot of people or any small plays and things that an assembly hall would be used for, we're going to use our gymnasium.
And so you don't plan to take down that portion of the building? Eventually you're going to take down the building, right? Or a lot of.
Well, let me go back.
I'd love to see the map again.
Yeah, this would probably clarify. That's a good question because I kind of went over that. I skipped over that one. All right, so here we are. We're currently in A.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to take over C.
Yep.
Right? So we're going to stay in A until C is complete. So when C is completed, all the students go into C, then A part of the soft cost is not reimbursable. Like we qualify for about 66%. However, that's not a real figure. You'll hear a lot of people talk about this 65 to 70% reimbursement. It's not that for any school district because you got to calculate the soft cost, and that would be the demolition of the building, any non-reimbursable space, such as what I said, any like hallways, offices, assembly halls, and things like that. So this would be taken down, and this would become the new baseball field, the new soccer field. So that's how that would translate out.
But, so in the new building, you will have an assembly hall?
No.
They
Okay,
are
so,
also doing a multi-purpose room near the cafeteria because
Yeah.
they're making the cafeteria. They don't want to oversize the space. So there is a room, I don't know, Rick, if you wanted to show kind of that space, which
Yeah,
could
sure.
also serve. So the cafeteria has a small room connected to expand our, lunch service seating, as well as provide a space. If there was a function going on in the gym or sports going on in the gym, we'd have a small room for. It's not large,
Yeah, but it's at least it
but
would
it
act as
provides a
we
space for
can
meetings.
utilize our major spaces. We can utilize our gym and our cafeteria for student-based types of spaces,
okay,
rather than have it something totally separate, which costs the taxpayers non-reimbursable money from the MSBA.
right,
But you could close off the multi-purpose room
okay,
if you need. You don't.
Right.
But it also serves as cafeteria space as well for dining.
yeah,
Right.
okay. All right, that's helpful. At least so you do have a space to gather once you,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
John, go ahead. You have a question?
So no baseball, no soccer during the construction period?
Well, our athletic director is gonna, like a lot of schools that go through the MSBA, they make little agreements with the other teams, which we won't have many home games for a couple years until that happens. So on those games with either baseball or soccer, we'll just play on the road.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Tim, go ahead.
Couple questions for Liz. In the initial presentation, you had Deerfield at 9.08%, and now it's at 7.99.
There was an error on one of the formulas, so 7.99, and we'll show you when we show your capital assessment for our windows and doors project. You're at 7.99.
And the total now that you're attributing based on this preliminary numbers.
But the number that I gave you at the meeting was based on the 7.99.
Oh, okay, so
The chart
it's
just on the presentation was just off. I met with our financial advisors today because our budget did come down, over $10 million to $15 million from where we started. So all of these numbers will come down. I'm hoping by our meeting in March, I'll have better figures for everybody. Because schematic design is being submitted on Thursday this week.
and what are the major differences between option 6 and option 8? They all had all the boxes ticked off. So why did 8 win?
Because of what I said earlier, the option 6 with one building. So you're still going to have the fume problem. You're still going to have that. And for the same, and I think option 6 is the same exact price.
It was within $1 million, I
It
believe.
was within actually 532,000.
Yeah.
So it just, like, if we're going to have an option, we want to make sure that we can eliminate what we have from an educational problem.
Got it.
Jim, go ahead.
How firm are the numbers for the final cost? Because I know that there's always a tendency to, be optimistic, shall we say.
Well, these are conservative numbers. And so the numbers we initially presented several months back were higher. So these numbers are, not firm yet because we're not done with the schematic design, but they're not going to go up.
Right. We're pretty much locking in our budget right now, and that's escalated knowing we're not going to start construction this year. So the costs are factoring in the escalation piece as well.
Yeah, I was wondering how far out you're escalating the costs. Like, what are you figuring for percentage, and when do you figure?
So they plan to break ground 2028 is what their plans are. So once we're locked into the budget, we're locked in. So they have to be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
So, but they're
And,
they're
and
planning.
like every year you delay, it's 4% increase in labor and 4% increase in supplies and materials. So
Yep.
they
Okay.
already locked all that in.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tim.
Can you talk a little bit about the restrictions the is it MSBA or places on you? For instance, you talked about 700 students versus 600, and that would be $100 million increase. I asked the question at the presentation, what about being smaller? And you said you couldn't do that.
Regarding, we can go, what we decided to do is, as you can see with our numbers, we can't go below what our member districts have. Right now, we have about 580 member district kids, and the other ones are from out of district. We're slowly going to be phasing out the out of district in favor of the in district. So that will allow us to get to closer to 600. That doesn't mean we won't have a lot of applications and could fill it at 700, but we're going to keep it at 6. And that won't make everybody happy because there'll be some students who don't get in. We understand that, but we have to do something to try to balance the enrollment with the total cost.
Okay, so I misunderstood what you said the other evening. I understood that you couldn't build a 450 student school.
Correct.
Which would probably take into account declining school enrollment throughout the region. So you're building a school for your current enrollment, and there are other schools nearby that are sitting with 300 and 400 and 500 student capacity that's not being filled.
We're actually building the building for 53 students below our current population of student enrollment, when the recommendation from the MSBA was upwards of 700, and we told them the reasons why we couldn't go to 700.
We also have our 2 outbuildings at Well that house students when they're in the vocational programs. So
Right.
that kind of helps right size it too.
What is the current proportion of out-of-district students?
They range after we fill our member school district, so probably about maybe 10, 15%, something small like that. Probably closer to 10, actually.
So once you, if the building gets approved and you go for it and build it, then you'll have a 30-year bond and you'll be paying off that 30-year bond. Would Deerfield's portion of that vary every year depending on our, whatever the equation is, EQV and population or whatever it is?
Yeah, the capital assessment rate will change, but pretty much it'll be once we start the short-term borrowing, like the first initial years will be smaller once we go out to bond. But once we start it'll be about 30 years of similar dollar amount.
But will our proportion of that vary year to year?
Things will vary. I mean, the census varies and the EQV varies every 2 years and the census every 10. So it's 50% of each of those. So the factors could change. Right now, we're giving you numbers based on 7.99%.
Where we are right now.
And what our original budget was.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So it's up to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Holly.
So I'm wondering if what Julie is getting at is, are you doing level payments, or will you be doing, so there's different ways to borrow. You can borrow where your principal and your interest adjust every time, so your payment is level, or your principal is the same and your interest slowly goes down over time. Have you thought about what type of borrowing you would do there?
I met with them today. I mean, it looks like for a good amount of years, it will be pretty level. But it'll take a few years to ramp up, and then there will be some decreases. So, but I had a meeting with our financial advisors today. So we're really working on all those figures now that we have a more sound budget in place and our best best, whether it's getting state qualified bonds and what we can qualify for to be able to present the best package to our towns.
So
Yep.
just to continue following up on that, I understood Julie to be asking, and if I'm misstating this, so in year 5, we're at 7.99, but our EQV changes, and suddenly we're at 9. Is that possible? So it would change every 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Our capital assessments, so census is every 10 and EQV is every 2. So we run those, update that accordingly.
And when we look at our capital project from a decade ago, with a few more years left on it, the EQV and the census and the capital assessment to our towns had fluctuated anywhere up or down a couple $100 per town. And so it's not drastic fluctuations, they're pretty steady. So if you're, for example, if you're a town with, a $250,000 payment bond, it's not going to fluctuate to 300,000. It's going to stay right in that same amount of
Yeah.
Blake, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering that when you put this building together, did you the new technology that's out there, is there things like, say, in the automotive section that you've got machines that diagnose and that sort of thing? Does that all come with the new building, or is that on top of what the building itself is going to be?
Well, what we're trying to do is save as much money as possible, and we've taken a lot of steps to outfit our current vocational shops to be the most technologically advanced in the state. So collecting that to make that happen, when I look at this screen here, it shows since 2014, outside of our member towns, we have competed for a lot of grants that are competitive, that not a lot of schools get. And we have accumulated $11.5 million since 2014. This is how we stay current in technology, and we can maintain to be one of the most advanced vocational technical schools without taxing, without going out to our towns for that kind of money. That's what it would basically take to stay advanced, and we'll continue to do so.
Well, how are you at this point? Are you pretty much right up to where you think you need to be with the technology and everything because of those grants, or is there? I know it's an ongoing process as well.
Yeah.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
are you close to that, or is that stuff from that point antiquated? Because I also know that technology turns over on a regular basis.
And that's why we have a program advisory board. That's a gathering in every vocational shop. Has probably 10 of them, which are the industry partners that help our vocational teachers understand what the modern technology is and how that gets put into our budget, and we get donations and things like that. So with our, if we didn't have that program advisory committee, it'd be very difficult to understand what technologies are like out there. So this really helps our programs.
So, but the question was whether the dollar value you have for the building, is that pretty much just the building, or does that include equipment and outfitting as well?
They do factor in equipment as well.
But we're going to bring over as much
in
as we
technology.
have. Since we're ahead of a lot of the other voc schools, we're going to bring over a lot of stuff to save that bottom line. That's been our whole goal from the beginning.
Trevor, go ahead.
Yeah, that was my question earlier. I think like your first thing at GCC was, are you going to move everything over? And I think that was the plan, right? Is to kind of keep as much as you can from your original equipment and outfit it to the new building. I don't know if this is a question for you or more for us. Can we, I assume we can, once we figure out what these numbers are and it does pass, I assume we could debt exclude this. We obviously, this is a massive,
We would have
everybody knows, like, this is like common sense, but this is a massive hit for Deerfield, right? I mean, we're struggling. You know, we grow maybe 300,000 a year, and this is like, you know, double that, you know, for 30 years. So just trying to come up with the funds to do this when we can't even afford a place for our seniors. You know, we're struggling to find $100,000 to come up with a place for our seniors because they're out of a building. And, you know, it's a massive, massive, you know, ask. You know, I get what it is. I'm not naive. I know that the building is old. I know that it's stupid to put 100 million in a 50-year-old building. You know, I get why you need it. I believe in the mission. I believe in what it's done for the community and all the jobs that have been created and businesses. A lot of my people I graduated with, I know started businesses. And so I know it's needed. It's just, it always comes back to how do we afford something like this? And you're asking all these towns who are struggling with massive, you know, we're all in hold harmless because the kids are dropping. You know, some are going to get education there, which is great, and so that's important. But it's a hard ask, you know, for everybody. So we're just kind of struggling, figuring out how do we fund, you know, with insurance. As you know, your insurance is going through the roof as well. So everybody's kind of struggling. How do we do this? So it's just hard. My main question was, can we debt exclude it? Obviously, we'd have to. I just want to make sure, like, that's whatever you did wouldn't preclude us from doing that, because it's the only way we're going to be able to try to make it happen.
Go ahead, Liz, if you can answer that one.
Yes, no, you can choose to go debt exclusion, and most do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're going to try to work as hard as we can to get state qualified bonds. Obviously, it's a big number for
Right.
us to get a state qualified bond for. So we're just going to work with our financial advisors to just try to find the best solution, working with our project designers and OPMs, and we really just trying to cut out all the bells and whistles to provide the best solution, but it does come with a big price tag.
Who is your debt? Your
We're working with Unibank.
Unibank. Okay, good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. Yep. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Jim, go ahead.
So as I understand it, this is going to be put to the approval of the voters in the school's coverage area. What is your plan if the voters turn it down?
We would have to go with the $103 million, get the building up to code.
And figure out how to stage that to have the most, minimal interruption in the school, how we would stage the capital plan to make these updates and not have disruption to our students.
I guess my comment to that would be, you know, when we tried to build our elementary school, I think it took 6 town meetings. So my worry is, like, it fails the first time and you go right to this plan that's not very smart. You know, I know it's less money, but it really doesn't, it's not that much less money because you're not getting the MSBA money. So same amount of money, same hit to the towns pretty much. So I would recommend, you know, thinking hard about, like, jumping right to that option. And
No, that would be a guidance from the MSBA. Like, they think they give us a 12-month.
try again.
Well, that's
We
if
have
they approve
10
us.
days to provide a plan.
Yeah, you
if
got
we
10,
don't
so we
get
got to
the
have
vote.
something already in place that the MSBA knows in case there is a no vote. And it's not a guarantee we get another shot at the apple. And if we did get another shot at the apple, that wouldn't go out until probably the following year. But now that cost has just gone up by a total of 8%.
Millions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I just worry, like,
yeah. Good question. Yeah.
same amount of money for a lot less of a building. I mean, I know you'll make that case, obviously, to all the towns, but
And it may not come in one hit. It may not, but we would have to start making upgrades. So to the building.
just wanted to make sure you could maybe try one more hit at it, but okay.
For sure.
Don, go ahead.
Sorry. Excuse my innocence if I should know this, but what happened? How does the vote work? each member town have to approve it at their town meetings?
So,
Or-
so the way that it works, is that we would pay for the election. The election would happen on the same day, the same hours for all 19 member towns. It would be a 13-hour election to give, make sure that we have adequate time for people in the morning or the evenings. Probably held on a Tuesday. And that would be, once all the votes are calculated from all 19 member towns, it would be a majority total vote. Not any, like an individual town can actually vote it down, but if the total number is in the, so if 5,000 people come out to vote, then Franklin County Tech would need 2,501.
I see.
And once it's approved, then that automatically goes to the town budgets?
That would be a Liz question.
Sorry, I put myself on mute. So yeah, then it would fall with the towns to determine how they would fund the project, whether
But,
it's debt exclusion or.
but
Yeah,
it's incumbent on the town to come up with the money somehow.
correct, based on our district agreement. But it would be simple majority to move the vote forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is more a philosophical question or observation. If I'm understanding correctly, are you treated differently than an academic school? You're your own district. How is that controlled?
We're a regional school district, so we follow under the guidelines of the Massachusetts regional schools. So we're not treated any differently from that perspective. The MSBA in the state realized that the education per student is on average 1.5 times higher for vocational technical school because of all the equipment that's associated with the curriculum. So that would be the only major, and there's different bylaws governing regional school districts than there are with just a town.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question to understand that is because we have a lot of regional school districts,
Yeah.
and most of them have declining enrollment, and they're not technical schools.
Mhm.
So one concern that was expressed by Frontier was that when we build a $250 million school and Frontier needs to have a new school, how likely is it going to get the resources to do that when its student population goes from 400 to 300, and where there are other schools around that have 500 and 600 seats unfilled? So, it's like, is the latest school the one that's going to get lucky and then the wheels are going to come off the bus? I mean, it's,
Well,
I know
that's-
it's not your fault. I'm just saying.
No, right. No, I totally get it. The MSBA, as dictated in this screen here, let's see if I can get, whoops, wrong. That's the next part of the presentation. Sorry. Let's see if I can get that back up. Hold a second. Let's see. Rate. Where's it coming? It's screen.
When do you need to be at your next presentation?
6:30.
6:30.
Good.
So basically, this screen here, well, let me get it, kind of gives you an idea. This is the MSBA at work. So when Greenfield had its building built, you can see all the buildings that were built by the MSBA around the same time frame. So they approve qualified buildings. It takes usually a lot of years for them to come out. They'll go through the internal mechanisms and structures of each facility. They'll look at your HVAC units, your rooftop units. They'll look at your electrical systems. They'll take away panels and look at wires and boilers and all that stuff. And they'll take a look at asbestos test, and they'll go through everything before they go through an approval process. But here's all of the MSBA projects since 2013 going up the pike. So there's quite a few of them. So it's not unusual for them to have various MSBA projects going on in proximity of other areas as well. They have a track record of that. That doesn't mean they're going to do it every year. That doesn't mean that it won't happen for another 5 years. Who knows? But that's their call. That's the MSBA's call. They do all their enrollment projections. We had our enrollment projections ready to go, and the MSBA just said, that's great, but we do our own. So they kind of calculate what the enrollment, it's just what the size is. Fortunately, we were pretty close. So, but that just depends on each individual school district. So I'm not sure if they would exclude somebody based on another facility being built that's not connected to their school system. I think, or
If you don't mind, actually, let's kind of hold that thought. Since you only have 20 minutes left, let's go do the operational budget.
okay,
And make sure we get through that before.
all right. I'll jump right to that.
Because I don't want to miss out on that. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, let me just get that operational budget up. And give me a second. Here we go. All right, I'll give you the flyby version. The assessment to the towns is the most important one. Well, not one, but it starts to talk about where we are with the town of Deerfield. So our per pupil, here's where Deerfield's trending. I will highlight it for you so it'll be easy to see. If we just take Deerfield right here, scroll across, you'll get an idea on them as far as your enrollment. So your assessment actually will go down a little bit because you went from 32 students to 29.
And it's actually going down it's going actually down to $589,669. We received an update on our Chapter 70 funding, and one of our towns had an increase of $1,056. So it changed your assessment slightly.
All right, thank you for that. See, this is why I'm glad you're on the call.
Small amounts, but
so the assessment will go down slightly based on enrollment. That's what the assessment's going to be based on. As you can see in the far right corner, your per pupil expenditures, according to the state, has Deerfield at $20,336. We have several towns in that category. We averaged $13,640 at the bottom here for all 19 member towns. So in this budget book, you'll receive this electronically after the March school committee vote. They haven't voted on the budget yet, so I can't send this to you ahead of time. When I go to Chapter 78, that's the next big item. We look at here, just kind of explains what it is for those that aren't as familiar with that. The cherry sheet, if you're not familiar with the cherry sheet, you can just find it in our budget book. You just click here and you go to the Department of Revenue. You click down here, and I would go to Franklin, excuse me, Franklin County Tech. I click here, and the numbers that you'll see in our budget book are exactly what you have in the cherry sheet. So you can do that for your own town when you use our budget book. You could do it for, the towns connected with Frontier as well. When I look at a Chapter 70 trend here, again, we're in hold harmless as well.
Mhm.
So we aren't having an increased enrollment. So we get a little shot in the arm, $40,000, $50,000, not a lot. And that's kind of a big hit. We're not getting the Chapter 70 funds. In our regional transportation, for those that are not familiar, Franklin County Tech geographically is the largest geographical school district in the entire state by far, more than 2 times the closest one for number 2, which is the Mohawk School District. We have 561 square miles of territory. I think Mohawk's around 220. And then everyone else is substantially smaller than that. So we have a large transportation budget that still 400,000 of that, almost between 350 and 4, is coming from the assessment to the towns, because there's no other way we're getting reimbursed for it. So that regional transportation is a tough one. That can be found in the cherry sheet as well. it looks like we got a little bit of an increase, but our actual number, though, this is how we receive our money, the top chart. The bottom chart's how we spend it. So you can look, if we're at regional transportation, we're at 1.3 million, but we're receiving 959,000 as a reimbursement. So who's paying for that? That's and we don't get rural aid. That's another thing. Both schools, for some reason, even though you have a brother in one school system who receives rural aid, their sister who comes to us does not. So that's another source that would help offset that regional transportation, which doesn't exist. That non-member towns that I was talking about, they pay substantially more, upwards of 27,000 when you add the special education reimbursement. And then we get our tuition from our pre-employment program. We have a little more students there. So we were able to use a little bit more, but we're getting less excess and deficiencies by $120,000 or $130,000. So that's how we receive our money. I'm going to leave it to Liz and how we spend it.
Were there a couple questions though about any of those? I saw a couple hands.
Jim first.
I had one. You said that the number for the Deerfield assessment as shown on your chart there had been revised. Can you give me the revised figure?
I can. It is $589,669. We received an email from the department head.
What is it? Again,
$589,669. We had a $1,065 update to our Chapter 70 funding.
And that just came in the last few days?
And I was really nervous to open the email and see where it put us, but it was $1,065. So it was not a good start to a Friday morning, but could have been worse.
Yep. Margaret, go ahead.
Thanks. We have a debt service assessment ongoing, and next year's projection is $206,020. When does that debt service retire? And would there be overlap with new debt service costs if they are approved for the new capital project?
Yeah, that debt service retires in about 7 or 8 years, and that gets the debt by the time they actually build the building, that gets rolled into the new building type of project. So
there's a formula, so there will be likely some clawback on that, but there is a formula with the MSBA, so we may take a small hit within the formula.
And that was for roof repairs, correct?
That was roof, paving, and windows indoors. Yes.
The roof was just a coating. It was not a roof. It was, right, Rick, just a coating.
You're only allowed to do that twice by law, and that was our second time. In each roof coating has a shelf life of 15 years. So the bond was for 15 years. At the end of that shelf life, we have to do a complete tear down and breakdown for a new roof, which is around that.
And it definitely has not even, we're struggling with our roof already. So
get the buckets out, which is
yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Do you want me to take the bottom, Rick?
Go ahead.
Okay. So when we started doing this budget based on insurance costs, we had a huge deficit. So what you're seeing now is after, I think, what are we on a Friday night, Rick, have a $750,000, $850,000 deficit before we got here. District leadership and administration, you'll see a slight decrease. We did have our business manager retired after 28 years, and there was a couple of positional changes as well. So we were able to gain a small amount there. Instructional services, we've based on insurance and cost increases and a gap in our budget. We have had some reduction in force to close the gap. So we have made some cuts, and those individuals are aware. Student services, this covers our athletics, our extracurriculars, and student-related activities and school safety. So there's a very small drop in that number. Pupil transportation's increased. We're in our second year of our 5-year transportation contract, and there's a 2.5% escalation on that. Plant operation and maintenance pretty much remaining the same. We were able to cut out a paving repair line that we don't need to fund this year because the crack ceiling was done within this year. Retirement contributions had a $100,000 increase to our Greenfield retirement, but our separation costs decreased a little, but that line is still up considerably due to those two issues. Active employees and retirees for insurance are through the roof. We had a 20% increase July 1st, another 20% increase on October 1st. Our current figures are projecting another large increase, and that rate will be voted this Wednesday. So we should know more about that figure on Wednesday morning. Our other non-employee insurance, that is our property and liability coverage. So there has been some increases to all of those lines, as well as we have our new aviation outbuilding that came online. Our land lease for our hangar, that's our aviation that's on the Turners Falls Airport. So that's our long-term lease with them. So we have an annual cost for that. Our transfer to capital stabilization, as you can see, we brought down considerably just to try to close the budget gap. And we know we have the MSBA vote coming up as well. So we're not funding that at the level we likely should if the vote wasn't to go through, but we did have to close the budget gap. Debt service, that's the bonding that we talked about above for the Windows and Doors project that will retire in 2034. School choice tuition, that's the figure we use for about 2 students if they were to attend Monty Tech to take a program that we didn't offer at Franklin Tech. And then transfer to OPEB, that's us making a small attempt to cover our other post-employment benefits. This does help with our bond rating, so we want to at least attempt, but we did drop the figure as well this year to try to offset the budget.
So I had a quick question on the OPEB. Do you know what do you have a policy, and do you know how much you're adding? I mean, I see you're adding 10, so it's not a formula, but it's how much you have in it and what your liability is. Do you know?
So our liability is around 15 million.
Yeah.
So we have a ways to go.
Yeah. So do you have
as you can see, we started funding it.
Okay. So that's all you funded it so far, right? Yeah. But
Yep, and there was one other funding source before as well.
Okay.
There was a difference with a retirement over budgeted, so we were able to put some on another year and voted over to fund it. But so yeah, we have a ways to go.
Yeah, it does help to have a plan though, for sure, and start funding it however you can for your bond, for sure. Right. I thought I had one more question on.
I'll throw in out while you're thinking about it. The your debt service is in here as an expense, so that dollar value that you gave us, the $589,669, that includes the debt service.
So that's that number that we gave you for. No, you'll have another capital assessment. There's another chart for that. So your capital assessment is 18,708, I believe, for the Windows and Doors project.
No, I think what you're referring to is that.
So you have your operating assessment.
Yeah,
you have your annual operating
that.
assessment.
Let me
and
get
then you
right
have
to
your
that.
capital assessment, which is separate.
The capital.
Got it.
We
Thanks.
get right to that. Okay, and that would be in our chart down here. So hold a second and see. All right.
I think it's 18,708.
And that should be right.
Yep.
This is it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is. And 17 cents.
Yep.
Yep.
Got it.
Just
All right.
right.
Thanks. John,
Okay.
you're up.
Yep.
And you can see the 7.99% on that chart. So that matches up to right now what we'd be projecting for the MSBA as well.
Okay.
Got it. Thanks.
Your excess and deficiency, what's left after this budget?
We put 100% into to offsetting the budget. So our excess and deficiency was exactly what you see. It was certified at $533,747.
So here's the excess and deficiency
ours.
chart from the state. And if we look at Franklin County Tech and we go through a preview, that number that we just showed you exists right here. There's the 533,747. So we use all of it. So I like to have a very transparent budget where anything we're putting on the board can be found by anybody else. So, yeah, we're in a very lean year like everyone else is.
So we gave
Thank
every
you.
cent back.
Do, do you have any other source of funds if something goes wrong? I mean, generally you'd have you have that set aside and you'd have some money left over if your boiler goes or something, you know.
So we have our capital stabilization fund,
Oh, okay, you do, okay.
which we did drop, as you can see. We funded it at only $50,000 this year versus the $238,900 last year.
Do you know what's in that at the moment?
I do. So there is $234,000, I believe, in there right now.
Yeah, not a lot.
So if a switch gear goes and one other item, that's drained.
It's
Right.
oh, I'm sorry, no, not 200. It's a 243. I switched the numbers. We
Still
funded
not-
at 238, and we used that to fund our feasibility study. So
Yeah.
we really drained that out,
I see that.
and we rebuilt last year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Liz, good job. You got to do it before we got to get online with the next town.
And when is the school committee meeting at which this will be voted?
The budget gets voted on in March
Second
12th.
Wednesday of
Yeah.
March 11th.
We had our first reading in our February meeting, which is what you're seeing here tonight. And there may be some small little changes based on what the insurance numbers might look like. We had to cut a half a dozen positions as well. So it's really been to balance our budget, we needed to have a balanced budget for our first reading. And in order to reach that, we had to do a reduction in force by about a half a dozen.
Thank
We have about 2 minutes left. Any last questions?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, we
Thank
appreciate
you
your
all very
time.
much.
Yeah.
Have a
If
great
any of
night.
us wanted to attend that school committee meeting, should we just email it? Is it hybrid? Can we listen in
We
virtually?
can be, if anyone's interested in that, it will be on the posting as an hybrid option. So you can simply, you're going to hear the presentation you heard tonight will almost sound eerie similar to what you'll hear in March. So it will be probably pretty much 99% the same. But you're more than welcome to attend it. You just make sure you let Janice know so she gives you the special code word or whatever to get in, because the last thing we need is a student showing
Oh, yeah.
appropriate pics,
Yeah.
whatever. So we want to make sure that we avoid that trap which happened early on. So Janice is my executive assistant, and so just give her a call and she'll put you on the list.
Okay, thanks. Jim, you have a question?
Yeah, what if we wish to attend in person? Because I remember the last time I did the virtual meeting, it was almost incomprehensible.
Sure, just come at that. You don't need any type of personal invite. Just come on in.
All right.
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a good night.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Have a good night.
Take care.
Okay. Any more thoughts or comments about any of that before we go to the rest of our business?
Should we make a motion to recommend or?
We don't know because we don't have a dollar value yet until the school committee votes on it. So we don't have a definite number. So we gotta wait till after that. All right, so minutes from the previous meeting? Jim?
I move that we accept the minutes of the February 9th meeting as corrected.
Second,
Any discussion? Oh, we have to roll call. John?
approve, yes, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye.
Beth?
Beth Brown, abstain.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfant, aye. That's all of us, right? Yeah. Okay. Good. So that passes 401. Should we go ahead and do some budgets? So, is it for, I guess, does anybody have any reports from any meetings that they went to since we met last? No, that we kind of got a recap of the Franklin Tech one just now. And Frontier, I emailed out, is coming in at a fairly reasonable for us 2.44% increase. I think that's the number. So that's good for us. They worked really hard. They have cut. They're going to be cutting also in the neighborhood of 6 to 7 positions. And did some other work to bring their budget down. Their first pass level services was 6.5% essentially increase. So they made some cuts to get down to that 2.44 for us, our piece. All right. Shall we do a few budgets? First one on the list is 155,500 IT hardware expense. Does anybody need us to share that? I emailed one out.
No, I've got the copy.
Okay.
Thank you for sending those, by the way.
Which one is it, Julie?
155,500. 155,500.
Would you like a
IT
motion?
Yes, please.
I move to recommend a sum of $6,000 for IT hardware, account number 155-5400.
Give it a second.
Second.
So move for the select board.
Second.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Waiting for Adobe Acrobat to launch so I can actually look at it.
I think just a note was like no change, only about 9% expended so far, but the move to the 1888 building may entail some more IT purchases as we get in there. So no change.
Yeah, and Trevor, the other thing I would add is I think that was a month ago, and now it's probably closer to 50% expended.
Okay.
So there are always just random little IT hardware things that we need. So
yeah,
level funding seems appropriate.
Great.
Any further discussion or questions? No. Roll call vote. John Poreski.
Aye.
Jim Cambias.
James Cambias, aye.
Beth.
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret.
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfin, aye. That passes 500.
Select board.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchey, aye.
Trevor McDaniel, aye. Thank you.
All right, next page, contracted services, 159,5410. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to recommend the sum of $271,597 for contracted services, account number 159-5410.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So move for the select board.
Second.
Thank you.
Christopher, would you like to talk about it at all?
Yeah, sure. So we tried to bring this one down a little bit. In the end, it's just a little bit, small increase. Still working with Entree, our IT support, on what their FY27 contract will look like, but it is probably going to be pretty similar to what we currently have. There's certainly some consideration around the move to the 1888 building. So I think we're trying to figure that out now. They've actually got a site visit, I believe, tomorrow to check out the building. And so hopefully we'll kind of get a better sense of, what IT needs they might anticipate in that move after that. And then in terms of the consultants line, at least when I put this budget together, back in January, I think we were determining not to pursue an MVP grant this year. I've heard there may be some changes in opinions, so we'll stay posted on that one. We are going to just forego the digitization project that we've been trying to budget for in recent years. Obviously something that'd be great to get done. It just doesn't feel like the year to do it. And also looking to take a little bit off the professional development again, just because it's such a difficult year. Not something we want to make a habit out of, but just given the circumstances. So that's the budget. And happy to take any questions.
How long is the Siemens contract going to run before it disappears?
Hope to be retired before that's done. I forget how many years are left. Longer than we want, I think. At least 5. I thought we were close to the end, and then we researched it last year, and if I remember right, it was still another 5 years or something.
Yeah, I feel like 2030 something sticks in my brain. So
Yep.
yeah.
So the file organization is completed?
No, it's not. No, we've been budgeting for it, but we haven't really made a dent in it yet. Actually, King Info Systems, who had been doing our archiving, has gone out of existence, and so we're going to need to find a new firm to do that work.
Where is it in the budget?
Where is the archiving?
Yeah, or the file consolidation organization, digitalization, what King Services was doing.
Right, we were gonna have them do it, and we budgeted, but just hadn't.
We have a separate, I believe we have a separate line item elsewhere in the budget that just covers their kind of routine, okay, here are all the files that are beyond their retention schedule. They can go in a file folder. This was we're going to try to actually digitize a bunch of stuff that we need to hang on to permanently, building plans, etc. But again, just not something we can really tackle this year.
Okay, so you're just going to put it off for another year.
Exactly. Yep.
Any other questions, anybody? Nope. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. John Pereski,
John Pereski, aye.
Jim,
James Cambias, aye.
Beth,
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret,
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfin, aye. That was 500.
Select Board?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Trevor McDaniel, aye. Thank you.
All right, back towards the back of this section. Town office expense 192.5430. 192.5430.
I move to recommend the sum of $14,000 for town office expense, account number 192.5430.
Second,
So move for the Select Board.
You guys,
Second.
Thank you.
did the select board vote the last one?
Yes, we did. 3-0.
You did. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, come on.
Okay. Discussion?
Looks like, well, town report, we've dropped back a bit. Of course, you're thinking of printing less copies. We always wind up with an extra box or two.
Yeah, again, we've been trying different ways to get the town report out there. I think the last town meeting, we ended up having a QR code that folks could scan. So we'll probably do something similar. So just having fewer physical copies will save us a bunch in printing. And I think beyond that, we had seen, we just thought probably moving up a little bit in supplies made sense given just the trajectory of a lot of products and the uncertainty around it, given the tariffs. But yeah, otherwise not too much in the way of changes to this budget.
Amazing
Any
that we used
questions
to have
on-
a meeting room decor line
Right.
item.
It was for a rug. That's
But it's Trevor's rug that's still in there, right?
still there, serving us well. We're gonna move it to the 1888 building.
It's about the
hope
right
not.
year, isn't it?
Yes.
Get it to the
Oh,
18th
dear.
Road Show.
All right.
We might be able to get some more.
Yeah.
Any discussion? No. Okay. John,
John Pereski, aye.
Jim,
James Cambias, aye.
Beth,
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret,
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfant, aye. That's unanimous, 500.
Select board.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Daniel, aye. Thank you.
Okay, and then we're gonna wander backwards earlier to 155, 5800, 155, 5800. Which I have completely lost. Oh, there it is. I'll put it in the wrong spot. So we looked at this one. Now we're going to do a few that we looked at once already and we tabled them. So we're back looking at PEG Access Capital.
I'll recommend $4,000 for PEG Access Capital, account number 155, 5800.
Second,
So move for the select board.
Second.
Second.
Anybody remember why we tabled it?
This
that
is
was my.
Oh, there was a question about what was in
Mhm.
the reports, the town reports. John, you had that question. You figured it out, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions anybody has?
I'm sorry. If I'm not mistaken, this was the one where I think John had some questions because the PEG access and the IT hardware ones were kind of mixed together and it wasn't really clear what was what, but this is just that annual $4,000 capital that goes towards PEG access.
All right. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Jim.
Just for the sake of clarity in the minutes, what does PEG stand for?
Public, educational, and governmental.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public education and governmental access?
Sure.
Okay.
So it's FCAT equipment, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know what it actually stood for.
So will some of this be used to pay for equipment in the new 1888?
Yeah, that's the idea. So we actually just put out an RFQ last month for the meeting room AV. And we just got a whole bunch of proposals back. They all came in under budget. And so we'll be able to actually use these accumulated funds to cover that cost.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? No. All right. John?
John Pereski, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye.
Beth?
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfant, aye. That's unanimous, 500.
Select board.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Daniel, aye. Thank you.
Next one is planning board.
I'm sorry.
17. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Julie, if I could interrupt. Mine keeps locking up and glitching. I'm having a little bit of difficulty here tonight. So that passed 500?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
And select board was unanimous as well.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Planning board, 175, 5400.
I move that we recommend the sum of $2,000 for the planning board, account number 175, 5400.
Second,
So move for the select board.
Second.
Why did we
Okay.
hold this one?
So when we looked at it before, Mark asked somebody asked if it could be reduced. And we were going to go to the plan since they have not typically spent the full 2,000.
Oh, okay.
And we were going to go ask the planning board if they would be willing to do less.
Are they?
Yeah, so I spoke with Denise. She said, "Yep, not a problem if you want to bring it down to 1,000 this year, given the challenges." So, yep, that's fine.
Okay.
And we need a motion to bring it down to 1,000?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
So move for the select board.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are voting on the motion to reduce it to 1,000, and then we will vote on the 1,000. So, roll call vote in favor of reducing it to 1,000. John?
John Pereski, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye to the amendment.
Beth?
Beth Brown Eye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardwitz, aye.
Julie Chalfin, aye.
Select board.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Bill McDaniel, aye for the amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion at the new $1,000 level? No. All right, roll call again. John?
John Pereski, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye.
Beth?
Beth Brown Eye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardwitz, aye.
Julie Chalfin, aye. So that's unanimous, 500
And select,
at 1,000.
thank you. Select board for 1,000.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Bill McDaniel, aye. Thank you.
196, 5,400. 196, 5,400. Last one in this section.
I'm sorry,
make a
I'm
motion.
I'm really having difficulties here. That was reduced to 1,000, correct?
It was reduced to 1,000
I
unanimous.
can't. I'm locked up again.
Yes.
Yes,
Here we go.
reduced to 1,000.
Okay, so
Sorry, guys. I'm
That's
having
okay.
difficulties.
That's okay.
No worries.
We've all been there.
400, that's general insurance.
We ready?
Yes.
So I noted that we voted general insurance on February 2nd
So did I.
by a vote of
Yeah.
401.
I did too.
Yep.
I don't think we have to do this one.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I will note we did just get a quote back from Maya, and I've been playing phone tag with one of their representatives. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have some more information. But they sounded willing to be a little bit more flexible on their overall price. And I think, as I mentioned last time, we are going out for a different quote from VFIS for injured on duty insurance. So hopefully that'll bring that down as well. But yeah, more to come.
Great. Thank you.
We lost Holly. 691, 5,400.
I make a motion. I make a motion to approve Historical Commission account 691,
Hang on just a
5,400.
sec before we do that. Does anybody know, did we talk to Historical Commission and reduce the amount, or so we don't have to vote twice?
Yeah, I talked to Ben Benson. He said he'd prefer to keep it where it is. They do have some interpretive signage projects they're looking to get done in FY27. So we'll just, he'd prefer to keep it.
I did talk to him as well too, and he did say that same thing.
He's consistent. All right,
Consistent.
John, go for it.
I make a motion to approve Historical Commission account 691, 5,400 for $1,175.
Second.
So move for the select board.
Second.
Thank you, guys.
Discussion. Roll call vote. John?
John Pereski, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye.
Beth?
Beth Brown Eye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardwitz, aye.
Julie Chalfin, aye. That's unanimous, 500. Select board?
So move for the select board. Any
Blake.
discussion? All those in favor?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Reverend McDaniel, aye.
Okay, Holly, we just did Historical Commission for 1,175 unanimous, both us and the select board. OPEB, that's in section 12. It doesn't have a number. The question on this one was whether OPEB was being charged to the other, like South County Senior Center or whatever, and the answer is yes, it is part of the indirect that they get charged. So it is being parceled out.
Then I'll move to recommend the sum of $51,176 for OPEB funding.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So move for the select board?
Second.
Julie, would you mind repeating what you said about what? About
So the question that came up when we tabled it before or didn't vote it before, this OPEB funding covers all employees under Deerfield, which includes South County Senior Center and South County EMS. And so the question was, is the money being set aside for OPEB for those two organizations being charged back to those organizations? So the other two towns are paying their share. And the answer is yes, that is part of the indirects that's charged to those organizations.
okay.
Would like to observe that we're doing better than Franklin Tech.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. I'm proud of you all. Very happy.
All right. Any other discussion or questions? No, roll call vote. John?
Goreski, no.
Okay. Jim?
James Cambias, aye.
Beth?
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfant, aye. That passes 4-1-0.
Select board?
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Joe McDaniel, aye.
Okay. 830, 5400, 830, 5400 FERCog assessment.
Get there.
I move to recommend the sum of $42,000 for FERCog core assessment, account number 830-5400.
Second.
I will move for discussion for the select board.
Second.
My thoughts are just this note seems like it's a placeholder, and I know we probably should have seen our number by now.
And we have, that's correct, Trevor. So I think I sent this over to Holly a couple weeks ago, but I can read it out or share my
Okay.
screen.
Yeah.
But it looks like for FY27, Deerfield's assessment is going to be 44,463.
Mhm.
And then there's a highway assessment as well, but I believe that's built into Matthew's budget.
It is. Yep. So, well, I'll wait, but for the select board, I'll make a motion to approve that figure.
Well, sorry, I am having some major difficulties here. Christopher, can you look to see what the updated number is in the budget book? Because I did update it to what our portion of it is minus the highway portion, which they budget for. So we can probably update that to the correct number now. I just can't get into anything. I'm having.
Do you want to
serious-
just wait
Yes.
until,
Okay.
why don't we just wait until next week or the week after?
Yeah.
And then give you time to take it all in and give us a new sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Then I'll withdraw my motion.
Now we'll draw mine.
Okay. Beautiful.
Great.
I think that does it. We'll save Dickinson Trust till next time.
Okay.
Too. So that leaves us this Thursday, the 26th. I was told 5 p.m. is the Deerfield Elementary School Committee meeting. They will have the same thing we saw at Frontier. They will have the budget discussion. The actual public hearing is in a month, but it's the initial budget discussion is this Thursday. And then next Monday, we will meet at 5 p.m. Because it's the first Monday of the month and planning board is after us. And we will do assessors and inspections and recreation and board of health if we can get all that in a little over an hour.
And just a note for the select board, I will not be in attendance that night. I've got something else going on, so other two members, if you're around.
March 2nd, you mean?
Yeah, my son's birthday, we're all going out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a question for Chris. Do we still have a personnel board meeting on the 26th?
We do, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just to confirm, Julie, you said DES at 5?
That's what Carrie emailed me. I haven't verified it anywhere yet. But I was told 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's
I should probably check on that because they're always at 6. So you Trevor, you're saying you think it's 5?
I thought so too.
Okay.
I have it on my calendar at 5. I don't know where I got the figure from, but
Probably me. Okay. I think we're done.
Just a question or
Yeah.
request. For the next meeting, can we have, well, I know everything is in motion, but can we have an update of the budget gap, the revenues to expenses budget gap?
I'm sorry, guys. I switched over to my phone, and that's giving me just as much trouble almost.
Yeah.
Yes, I can absolutely update that, and I will have an update on everything. I can print out, basically everything that's been voted up to this point as well, and update some preliminary school figures by then as well. Although none of those will be set in stone, but they'll be pretty close at that point.
Thank you, Holly.
And Darius said the
Great,
meeting is at 5 o'clock.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. That saves me bugging him. John, you have a question?
Yes. Road stabilization. I feel very strongly that we should discuss a road. I feel we should probably have a road stabilization fund, but at least the committee should discuss whether we should have one. And I also feel very strongly that somehow we need to get the word out to the taxpayers that there's a big hit that's going to be coming for roads. This is, so I'm going to make unless everybody wants to go home and shovel, they can wait, but I'd like to make a motion to discuss having a road stabilization fund. Or should I make a motion? Okay, I'll make a motion to have a road stabilization fund.
I would, I've advocated for that for a while, and I'd certainly love to discuss it. I don't know whether or not we could make progress this particular budget cycle. I'd be in favor of discussing it. To what extent, I don't know. I think we're kind of, in the midst of an operational budget situation right now.
How about if I add it to one of the upcoming meetings, either the March 16th or the March 23rd one, to give everybody time to think about it a little bit and if we're like, I feel like if we're a little farther along in the budget review process, we will have more solid numbers for what we're looking at for this year. And it also gives everybody time to think about it and discuss it. But
my thinking is we vote to establish the fund and with an amount to be determined later in the budget process. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
But I would like to get it established.
Does anybody second that?
I will second that.
Okay.
I just have a question, and it's just a question. So we'll create a stabilization fund, we'll put money into it, and then we'll take the money out because we need to fix the road. So is this just for future so that you get this into the people's minds so that they're thinking that we're going to actually start spending tax dollars on road repair? Is that the thinking?
That's part of it. And also to smooth out the money that's going to be spent on roads.
Right, so that overages can be rolled into next year's. And
There is a way to make this a recurring funding source, and that's through a special stabilization override, but that's a discussion for another time, I think. That is probably the best way to assure that you're always going to have funds to be able to put in to that particular special stabilization fund, but
Right.
something for later discussion.
Yeah, for the select board, I think it's too early to, make an account without a little bit I mean, I think it's worth talking about, but just there's so many other items that are going to be dragging on our budget. I don't know.
you always establish it and not fund it.
You can.
I guess.
You absolutely can.
But I like the idea of an over. You were talking about it, Margaret.
A special stabilization override, just
Override,
specifically
right?
to fund
Specifically for
a
that. Yeah.
roads stabilization fund if one is created.
And my
But
feeling is
it's true. We could create one and not fund it yet, just to have the discussion. Anyway,
I think we need a discussion on an override period for all the other things that we're dealing with.
not to mention the debt exclusion.
And the giant school and and everything else, yeah. But I don't want to have that discussion now. So-
Yeah, so I
You have
like,
a motion, though.
I'm feeling like I'm gonna vote no now, not because I'm opposed to having the fund, but because I'm opposed to committing myself right now. I would rather think about it and discuss. I feel like the time to discuss it is when we're talking about like the whole budget together and what we're doing. Because there's also the question of whether, like, we have a capital stabilization fund and road work is capital. We could just, like, if we were going to put money aside, commit to put it into that, it wouldn't be specifically for roads, and we'd have to have some self-discipline, which we may or may not have.
The argument is that, this means that roads are not competing with, a new truck or
Right.
other capital expenses.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
we know that we're going to be spending money on roads. But I kind of agree that it's late and nobody seems to be interested in discussing it now. So if we want to table this, that might be a cut the marker down anyway.
We agree to discuss it later?
Table a
Or
motion.
make a
I
motion,
am definitely okay with discussing it later.
make a motion to discuss it later.
Well, tabling the motion.
Sounds good.
I'll second that, just to commit to discussing it later.
Right.
Okay. Any discussion on that? I will talk with Holly offline and we'll pick either the 16th or the 23rd, looking at what other budgets we're talking about those evenings, and pick a night where we think we'll have time to talk about it.
Can we maybe get some kind of report from the highway department as what they estimated the road repair costs will be for the next few years?
See, that's
Nothing
part of my
fancy, just dollars.
hesitation, is that I want to give him time to do that and come up with the plan. And I feel like next year might be the time to do it.
He's got his dashboard.
No,
He does have a
did it,
dashboard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just, can we have a copy of the dashboard? That's all for our discussion.
Okay.
I can talk to Matthew about when he's supposed to have a final version of that, because I think what we saw was sort of the beta version from Ty and Bond.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So should be in the next couple months though.
Well, we can use the beta version. At least it'll be something to talk about. Because we're talking about a lot of money. And I don't think the average taxpayer is aware of what's going to happen. It's going to be like, sort of like the sewer plant. Oh yeah, why do we keep kicking the can down the road?
See that, yeah, that wasn't, you know what? Let's talk about it later. Because that wasn't my takeaway from it. I thought he was saying, okay, here's my plan, and we know how much money we're getting from chapter whatever it is, 90.
Yep.
I'll just, spend the chapter 90 money, and this is the way we'll go. So if we wanted to increase that, but let's put it down. Let's get the information from Matt and pick a date that works when it's not a snowstorm, and and talk about it. So,
I think
okay, we have a motion on the floor to
postpone.
put this on the agenda soon. Any other discussion on that motion? John?
John Pereski, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye to postpone.
Beth?
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfant, aye. That's unanimous, 500. Okay. Anything else we need to talk about tonight? No? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to, John Pereski makes a motion to adjourn.
Second.
second.
A second.
It's unanimous.
John?
John Pereski, aye.
Jim?
James Cambias, aye.
Beth?
Beth Brown, aye.
Margaret?
Margaret Nardowitz, aye.
Julie Chalfant, aye. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely evening.
You too.
Aye, good night.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Aye.
Like
Good night,
Gilmore,
guys.
aye.
Thank you, everyone. Safe travels, Chris.